Hello, hello, hello. What is going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a great Tuesday. Uh, just before we get going, double check, make sure audio sounds good. A thumbs up will suffice. Hope everybody's day is going well. Thank you, Elias. Appreciate it. Glad you like the channel. Looks like Owen's got a new YouTube moniker, new YouTube channel he's working on today. So today's going to be a fun stream. We're going to be getting into, I titled it "The Time Is Now, Living Proactively," but it's more about a sort of readjustment in our mindset and how we're approaching the current events right now, as opposed to moving from a sort of analysis. I mean, up to this point, it doesn't really matter who it has been. You're sort of analyzing, you're perceiving patterns, conspiracy theories, whatever you want to talk about. But at this point, we're in a totally different realm. It's time to start realizing that we're actually at, metaphorical war, I guess. I mean, it's not a metaphor anymore, but just a new perception, a new mindset, and then how we go about working from there. And so it's going to be tied to, I've heard somebody talk about the difference between sort of special forces in regards to PTSD and sort of general infantry, and how the general infantry, they're being attacked upon, and it causes that fear response, where PTSD is much more likely, where the aggressor, where you look at special forces who might encounter more, live fire, more active situations, they are less likely to have PTSD because they're on the attack. And this is going to symbolize sort of the change in mindset today as well, or at least what I'm advocating, for everybody to start thinking about being actively engaged in the goings on that are occurring, and how we can start to establish our own order. That's going to be tied to organizing ourselves, communication, lines of communication, things we can do personally. So we're going to be getting into all that today. Before I get too deep, I do want to make a special announcement. That was yesterday, basically all night last night. Work with the guy that helps with my website, one of my good buddies, and we got the shop open on my website. So if you want to check out, I'll put it down here, davidpatrickharry.com. There is now a store. Now there's not much there. I'm using not Teespring. I'm using Printful, and they're out of all the materials, so I can't do any T-shirts. I can't do anything that's printed. Everything has to be basically embroidered. So there's only a few products there, but I do recommend just checking it out. New feature to the website, and of course, anybody who'd be interested, who appreciates what I'm trying to do on the YouTube channel. If you can go to the website and potentially contribute monthly, sign up for a sort of monthly subscription using the PayPal option in the top right corner. Greatly appreciate that. Anybody who donates $5 or more will automatically get a website membership once those become available. And also, if you can, sign up for the email list. That's another thing that I wanted to mention in regards to today. Again, lines of communication. And as Jay knows, I'm sure you guys are aware that Jay Dyer's channel got demonetized. And so it is important, as he talked about, I don't know if this was in a private tweet or not, just about email address. I think it was the big live chat he did in regards to emails, and having people's emails is really important, because that's a direct pathway of communication. And so if you're interested, but if you can, sign up for the email list when you go to my website. It should pop up after about 20 seconds or so. So anyway, just wanted to make that announcement. Got some cool stuff on the way, at least. Not a whole lot there, but a few products. And I also have mentoring and tutoring, if anybody would be interested, where we can do half an hour to an hour, whatever content you want to talk about, topics, educational stuff, whatever. That is an option. I'm just saying that's there inside the store. So anyways, new things on the way. Okay. So with that being said, again, I want to get into the time is now and living proactively, because as I was trying to say from the beginning, that it's time to shift our mindset into being actively engaged in the culture, starting to think of ourselves as really kind of warriors. And I think that's going to be my next video, is doing a longer analysis or discussion on Orthodoxy and how they understand warriors and the warrior spirit, and warrior saints, even stuff like that. So that's going to be our next video. But I want to talk about having a long-term perspective. Right now, we're seeing chaos arise in a multitude of ways. Things are getting more and more chaotic. And so one of the first things that we need to realize in regards to today's discussion is that this is on us. So as we've seen with the defunding of the police departments, as we've seen with what's going on in Seattle in regards to Chaz, that our authority figures, the institutions, are not in our favor. And for any romantic idea that somehow they're going to just, change their minds, or going to be in favor for us, and I'm talking about Republicans, Democrats, I'm talking about the Senate, I'm talking about what we saw with the Supreme Court's most recent ruling. We need to get it in our heads that we only have each other, and we need to operate on that premise. So that is the sort of catalyst then for today's discussion, is that we are on our own. Therefore, organization and mobilization is going to be extremely, extremely important. And so the first thing that I want to talk about then is discussing your skill or niche. So we're now realizing that we're on our own here, okay, in terms of preservation of our traditional values, preservation of our faith and tradition, and so let me back up. Tied to realizing that we're in a war, tied to realizing that we're on our own, is we need to be conscientious that they are coming for the church eventually. They're coming for Christians. Martyrdom is going to be coming back here real soon in Western nations, and so it is important for us to recognize that there's no stopping it. We've already lost the demographics. Brother Augustine, if you're not familiar with his YouTube channel, did a video talking about how we have till 2024. I really liked his video. If you hadn't checked it out, I do recommend watching it. It's only about 55 minutes or so. It's a live stream, but I really enjoyed his discussion there, and I agree with him that you basically, things are only going to get more chaotic leading up to November in the election. Now, most likely, Trump is going to win, and so I think things might simmer down a bit afterwards, but 2024 is basically the end of everything. The whole system. I mean, even if we get there, right, that's still, skeptical that we'll even get that far at this point. But 2024, I think really we should be thinking, every single person watching these videos should be thinking about getting everything in order by 2024. Whether we have that much time or not, that's why you need to get going right now in regards to a multitude of different things. So I want to talk about some daily habits, living more deliberately. That's sort of the proactive measurement. Self-defense, guys, we got to get some weaponry. If you don't have that in your life, or you don't possess any, I'd highly recommend that. And thinking about more natural forms of living, the way in which we get our food, stuff like this. So we so, and then I want to talk about communication. I want to talk about getting on alternative social medias. Owen, he's got a new YouTube channel, Eugen von Grombrittenton, or I'm not even sure how you'd pronounce that. But anyways, he has a great Telegram following. He's got the Orthodox channel. He's started a more recent Twitter where he's putting out Orthodox news. I'm going to talk about getting on Telegram, building on Gab, building on these different social medias, that this is basically an imperative now. I know I'm going to, and we'll talk about it here in a little bit, I'm going to be focusing heavy on building on Gab. That's where I'm going to start putting most of my eggs, because it just seems like that's one that is much more trustworthy, and I like the way that they keep expanding what it is they're doing. So I don't see Gab going away in the future. I know Minds, BitChute, uh, all the different D stuff, DTube, this or that. So I'm going to start really investing time and posting on Gab. So we're going to talk about alternative forms of communication, multiple channels of communication, because again, this video is going to be and the idea that we need to start organizing. So I'm going to be talking about men's clubs. This is something that we're doing at my parish. I go to a very small church. But Subdeacon Mark, one of the deacons, obviously at my church, we're going to be creating a men's group, and we're going to be doing manly things in that men's group, talking about masculine topics. And this is a great way, I think, I guess, for us Orthodox guys to start thinking about organizing, is developing men's groups at our parishes under the auspices and supervision of our fathers, spiritual fathers, the priests, the hierarchy. But allowing the church to be a sort of refuge where we can still have all men's groups, and then start working within our cities. If you're, my example would be in Indianapolis, then trying to see if other men's groups would be interested in forming at other churches in the area, and then we can start to communicate and start organizing larger events and stuff like that. This is something we need to start thinking about as well, in my opinion. So I want to talk about men's groups and potentially setting that up and what we can do with those at church. And then how, again, by organizing, we can become a sort of voice in society. We can actually have a sort of cultural strength. We can be a voice for the values. Right now, orthodoxy, or kind of whatever it is we represent, it's kind of ambiguous. We have the Fuenteses and the Groypers and Owen Benjamin and the Bears, and it's a mixture of different people that are contributing to this sort of alternative Christian masculine voice that we're seeing online. But we need to think about, just like they're doing at unauthorized.com, this is thinking ahead. This is organizing. This is building a future. These are things that we all need to start thinking about. And so again, this is the basis for today's video. So the first thing that I want to talk about is skill and niche. And all of us need to think about how we can contribute. What are our skills and niches? Not just getting a job, but whether you may have just a regular job, 9 to 5 or whatnot, but you actually make music, or you do this or that. You make films. We got one of our ortho brothers, Joshua Lindbergh. He makes short films, stuff like that. This is great stuff. We got to start making our own, helping each other contribute, and start developing ourselves. But in regards to your niche, maybe you build tech. Maybe you're a lawyer. Maybe you're a doctor. I got my buddy, Dr. Michael Moeller. Shout out to him, naturopathic doctor in Southern California. Mostly focuses on men's health, to TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, stuff like that. We need to be building our web of people we can trust. We need to start thinking about how we can contribute. And Zigmas says, I make hip hop and EDM, but I don't know how to use that for the good. Zigmas, we have to get together. I'm looking for somebody who can make hip hop and EDM, and we can start using samples of Orthodox chant music and start to create something new. So we need to speak after the stream, Zigmas. We can definitely work together. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. I need music for my channel. I like kind of EDM, trappy, dubstep, but I want it to represent Logos. I want to represent the values of what we got going on over here on this channel. And so I want somebody, but this is exactly it. Zigmas can help me out. That's what we have to start building, a community. So an example of what we're talking about then would be like the Legal Legion, if you know Vox Day and their lawsuit going on with Patreon for Owen Benjamin and how they kicked him off and all this stuff. Well, they've already won previous lawsuits, and they have basically a legal legion, a group of lawyers who work in advocacy of their interest. We can begin to start doing the same. Now, this isn't going to take off overnight, but these are things that we need to let marinate and start thinking about. And some of us, our skill is going to be organizing, and so if you are good at organizing, start thinking about maybe you need to create a new Telegram channel. Maybe you need to, take some initiative. Maybe your thing is your contacts or how you know people or how you make friendships, whatever it is, whatever your skill is. We need all hands on deck to start thinking about how we can all come together as a community, contribute, find our niche, use our skills. And so, again, in the next year to 4 years, we are a cohesive national body that we can, again, look at what we're up against and how they can organize, whether it be BLM, Antifa. So we need to be able to organize and mobilize. And now it doesn't mean that we're going to be, doesn't mean we need to be a concern of the FBI or anything like that. But if something occurs, we need to be able to respond in the world. And so the best ability to do that is, first, we all have to figure out how we can contribute. So again, if you're going to law school, if you're a lawyer, we need to have an ortho lawyer group, a secret Telegram or a secret something, a secret form, an encrypted form of communication, something. Even Gab has encrypted group chats and stuff we can do now. But doctors, people who have already gone to med school, people who do naturopathic doctor, like my buddy Michael Moeller, Dr. Mo, we need more of these people. We need to start forming our groups. And so when the second wave that we already see them planning, we can have a group of doctors that we can get their immediate response. Maybe they have different opinions, this or that, but it's a group of people that we can trust. We know they have our values. We know they're Christian. We know they're this or that. And so we need to have this in all different regards. So if you build tech, we're going to start, especially the way that they've already demonetized Dyer. Like, we're going to eventually need our own apps and stuff like that, but we don't have to do that. Maybe you could just build websites. Even if you do WordPress, that's all I have is a WordPress site, and I'm tech illiterate. I am not tech savvy, so that's why I have my buddy mostly helps me with that stuff. But maybe your skill is tech and you can start helping build people's websites, stuff like that. Like, I don't know if Father Deacon Ananias has a website, but he needs one so that he can begin to start, I don't know if he is or not. Maybe he already has one, so I could be way off. But at least building that out so you can start to have a subscription revenue model, because all the people, everybody's going to have a different skill here. And then once we communicate, we can help purchase things from each other. So if you make goods, our community can be your target market, right? So whatever you make products of, obviously you're going to kind of know who's interested, who's not. So this is a great opportunity. Again, we are all brothers. We need to think long-term here, right? So I'm going to be here in the next 4 years. Dyer's going to be here. Father Deacon Ananias, Brother Augustine. So, we need to start realize, sometimes we get caught up in the habits. We watch the daily news. We do all this stuff, but we need to start slowing down, thinking more long-term that, we're all going to be here. So we're not going anywhere. Some of us are going to probably get kicked off YouTube, all this stuff. So we need to start building infrastructure in a multitude of different ways so that our community thrives. It thrives in times of struggle for other people. It thrives. So these are things, again, that I wanted to lay out. How can you contribute? Where is your niche? We can do all types of stuff. So another thing is artists. Like I said, Joshua Lindbergh, I love his his short films. If you do anything, if you paint, if you like Zigmas, he makes beats. We're going to put something great together, guarantee it. So we need to start doing this immediately. Like, we should have done this yesterday. We should have done this last year before all this stuff. So we need to really start thinking seriously and being more deliberate in our lives. And so how does that, we're thinking more deliberately in terms of a community, in terms of organizing, ability to mobilize. Well, that's going to translate, because sort of discipline, as you guys know, it ripples through a multitude of dimensions within one's life. So the quality of food we eat, guys, if you're not eating good food, like, you should have been, again, doing that last year. Like, you got to be eating good food. If that means that, you need to talk to your priest. If you've been Orthodox for a while and they do the fast, maybe you need to get on the carnivore diet. You need to start eating some meat. That's maybe a spiritual discussion you need to have with your father. I know I had that with my priest recently about chrismation, and I told him that, right now I'm not getting off my meat diet, and if that's going to be a problem for chrismation, I can wait. But we're in very uncertain times, so the quality of fuel in which you're putting in your body is essential right now. And for some people who are more spiritually advanced, you're going to be able to do the fast and be so I'm not, this is all for different people, different times, whatever it is, wherever, you're at in your progression. I know for me, I've been starting basically the carnivore diet. I do about a steak a day, often 2 a day. I only eat twice a day, so I only eat basically between 10 o'clock and 7 o'clock. I try to make it earlier, 5 or 6 o'clock when I eat my second meal. But I feel great. I feel the best that I've ever felt. I'll be 31 years old in September, and I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. I feel good. And so I don't want to stop this right now. So that's why I was talking with my spiritual father, my priest, that I'm cool living the Orthodox lifestyle. I'm cool doing the fast. I just, at this moment of where I'm at, I need to keep doing my carnivore diet because I'm seeing results, the way that my body loses weight but then gains muscle. I'm stronger, yet I've lost 10 pounds. I can lift way more weight and I weigh less. It's good stuff. So I do recommend that. If that's for you. But this is what I mean, living more deliberately. So we need to think about the quality of our food. Where are we getting our food? What are we eating? And I'll leave that up to you. I'm not going to advocate any specific diet. I know for me, I am an advocate of a more meat-based diet. Red meat occupies probably 80% of my diet. And I've never felt better. So I do recommend it, but I'm no doctor, so do your own research. But of course, then once you have the quality food, you're getting rest, being more conscientious, your fitness. You got to be doing something, guys. If you're a man, you got to be doing something. Doesn't matter what it is. You do cross country, you like weights. I prefer weight training, but we are in a testosterone deficient era. We have estrogen, we have hormones in our food, it's in the water, it's everywhere. The only way to combat that is by boosting natural testosterone, unless you take testosterone, which I do recommend that. And I would recommend you reaching out to Dr. Mo if that's something you want to do. He can give you personal advice. That's what he does as a doctor. But eating more meat, lifting weights, these are going to help boost natural testosterone. As Dr. Mo talked about, also semen retention is a way to start to boost natural testosterone. So that's going to be tied to pornography and all that stuff. So again, we all struggle. So don't think anybody's pointing fingers at you. We're all trying to get better here, and it's not easy. But we need to start thinking about our fitness and our body. We have to, because if we're going to fight, we have to be here. We have to be strong. We have to be present. We have to support our families. Be the role models. Be the men that we're called to be. Really. So, gotta be doing something with your body. Absolutely. Maybe it's only 3 times a week. That's all I do. I only go to the gym 3 times a week. I definitely make those workouts count, and I don't miss. And so. You don't have to do what I do. You don't have to do what somebody else does, but you got to do something. You have to do something. You have to take care of your body. And then that's also going to be in regards to living more deliberately, a prayer life, and praying more frequently, stuff like that. As I've said before, the more I get caught up in bad habits, sinful behavior, then it just naturally correlates to then praying less, and stuff like that. So we need to be more deliberate by improving our spiritual lives, improving our physical lives. So that has to be a shift. I mean, guys, we have no idea where this is coming. I honestly think they're going to try to make purchasing meat very difficult. Now, it's going to be in different states. different places. So, like your California, your New York, it's going to be a lot harder than, your more farm countries, or I mean, states. I think Indiana's probably going to be pretty good. They have been with the meat so far. So I'm getting great sirloins on sale at Kroger here in Indiana, local meat, where in other states they're basically having shortages. They're forcing farmers to kill their livestock, and this is all again helped by the USDA, the government. Again, we're on our own here. We're on our own. So I recommend starting to thinking about, and this is something that I'm honestly thinking about doing, is finding some of the local farms that have cattle and purchasing half a cow. Now, I'm sure that's going to be quite expensive. It's going to take up quite a bit of space, but if it looks like it's going to there, which I think it is in certain places, so I think it absolutely is going there in certain places, you need to start making plans and planning for the future. And that might be either going and hunting yourselves or going with your friend. Maybe you guys split half a cow. But now you'll have that food, you'll have that energy, you'll have that meat, you'll have that nutrition, especially given what I think is going to come. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Now, self-defense. And these are all in regards to being actively engaged. That was the little subcategory that I had. So actively engaged. So figuring out your skill, your niche, realizing we're in a war, making your daily habits more deliberate. And then, of course, self-defense. If you guys don't have a gun, you need to get you should have had a gun, last year, a month ago, yesterday. You got to have a gun, especially with the chaos that's going to be coming. Now, maybe you're a monk, maybe you're more spiritually advanced than me. That's fine. I'm not saying everybody, you have to have one. We're all in different places spiritually and, in our religious development. So at least where I'm at, and again, this is a conversation I have with my priest, that I'm not ready for martyrdom. And we had a sit down. We had a very great discussion. I mean, we talked for over 2 hours, but I was very open about all my opinions on all controversial topics. Let's say my priest was very based, especially in regards to, a special group of people, that one special tribe. So that was a great conversation. But I was telling him, where I'm at in my life, if somebody breaks into my house, I'm going to shoot them. A very high chance that I kill them, and I will have to live with that. But that's just where I'm at right now. And I think a lot of people are there right now, and we have to realize that this fight, this chaos, this is coming for us all. That you can't be on your heels right now. And that's why, again, living proactively, you have to start right now realizing you're a soldier, you're a warrior, you are in this fight, whether you want to be or not, that your life, your existence absolutely has purpose right now, because we need every hand on deck. We need everybody to think about how we can contribute, how we can start forming, how can we be a force in opposition. So getting a gun, having a sort of self-defense. I know I have a 9mm and an AR, and so I'm good. I would like to get a 12 gauge, but that's neither here nor there. So self-defense, gotta get the self-defense, and then you gotta train. And this is going to come into then the men's groups, because I think something that we can start doing with our men's groups in various cities is start organizing groups where we go shoot together. So again, theoretically, we're just using where I'm at. So Indianapolis, we have a small men's group. Maybe we only have like 5 guys at my church, but we contact all the other parishes, see if they're interested in starting a group. Maybe they already have one. So we'll just assume some of them already have some groups. Then we organize an event where we all go to the range. Everybody who has a gun brings a gun, and we practice our tactical abilities, our marksmanship, all that stuff. We got to that's a activity that we can all do as a religious community, really. So it's something we need to think about. We really do need to think. We have to keep this stuff, and not everybody's going to want to participate, and that is fine. That is fine. But some of us are called to be warriors. You know, some of us are called to be martyrs. Um, you probably know which one you are. So there's that. Anyways, that moving on from self defense, we need to also think about how we can live more naturally. So I already mentioned about purchasing your meat potentially from a local farmer. Well, I think one of the more revolutionary acts is going to be making your own gardens. Like seriously, I I don't have the ability right now. If you live in an apartment, you know this is something maybe you can do something small indoors, but um, growing a garden is going to be really really important. You can get a diverse set of minerals and, and nutrients from a small little garden in your backyard. um, my goal is to have one, a nice garden. I'll probably have chickens and stuff by 2024. So raising animals is another thing. So I was saying grow a garden, raise animals, and buy local. Because it is, I think that the real bifurcation that's going to occur isn't going to be Republican, Democrat. It's going to be between cities and rural America. And so I think it's going to be a sort of soft civil war, if you will, because much of life, I think, is going to have the sort of vague appearance of life as normal. So, your local gas station will still have gasoline, the trucks will still deliver, goods for the little snack shop. So, um, at the same time, though, at any point, chaos can arrive at your doorstep, and it's going to be on individuals with their neighbors, with their local communities, acting in response, acting in response. So, um, we need to keep that in mind, and this was something that I even talked to my local friends here, and they're not Orthodox, they're not Christian, but they're very old and close friends of mine, and they have values, the same values. So even though they wouldn't be, looking into the presuppositional apologetics or looking at paradigms, they certainly operate in a Christian paradigm. But that's not here nor there. That's not what we get into when we hang out. But I was mentioning to one of my friends about living close to each other, that living out in the country, one of my buddies just bought 2.5 acres, really nice plot of land out in the country to raise animals, have, all the stuff that he wants to do. And I was thinking, geez, if we just lived, maybe an acre away or so, or, further than that probably, but just different plots that were in shouting distance of each other, that again you can mobilize somebody trying to break in. You have people there that you can trust, because that's really what this is going to come down to, is how many people do you live around that you can ultimately trust. And if you are by yourself and you're in an apartment building, you're in a city, or I absolutely recommend trying to make plans to get out of there and around more people you can trust, because that's the only way you're going to have real safety in the future, is with you having your own sort of self-defense, or being in a community that will also help protect you and your family. And so I honestly think that is the future, and something that we all need to keep in mind. So that was basically the last thing I wanted to say in regards to actively engaged. Now I want to go into organization and communication. How are we doing in the chat? Can you simplify what the logos is? Well, that's more of another video. I'm sure guys in the chat can do that for you. Ancient Greek concept related to order, logic, reason. Later, that development is realized to be incarnated as Jesus Christ. So Jesus Christ is the logos, and it's tied to all these understandings of sort of order in reality in various ways. So JP's got a nice garden. Oh, and 50 chicks on the ground. Oh, nice, dude. Super jealous. You're in a good place. Divine order is the logo, exactly, Moby Dick. So also thank you, Owen, for throwing down my Twitter. If you could share my Telegram, I would greatly appreciate that as well. Now I want to get into organization and communication. And so the first thing that I want to talk about is organization. And so what I have written down is this is the name of the game, because it really is the name of the game. That's why you see the Barack Obamas, all these political people with aspirations are usually started as sort of community organizers, organization, because organizing, the ability to organize individuals, whether they are conscious of why they're moving in one way or another, which most people don't. But we can see this playing itself out with BLM, with Antifa right now. And a lot of strings are being pulled from the top that people who are participating in the looting and the protests, they're not privy to. Um, but uh, but that is the name of the game, because whether think about an army, a military force, it's the ability to organize. We need to realize that that's the only way you can have real social capital, or societal capital. We only recognize sort of groups. There's like the presupposition of individualism, of course, but really when we look at society, we sort of look at generalistic groups, and they have to be cohesive in one way or another. So we ourselves, community organizing, the movements, the protests, all this stuff, it's about organizing individuals. This is the name of the game. So we need to start doing it ourselves. Right now we're not being manipulated by the Soroses of the world, the Bill and Melinda Gates, the transnational corporations. We know who are. But we need to realize organization and mobilization. And so the first thing is we have to establish many channels of communication. So I already mentioned this earlier about getting on alternative social media. And so Owen is already throwing down, he mentioned Telegram. Brother, if you can share your Telegram channels, if you can share my Telegram channel, if you can share Dyer's Telegram channel, we have to have multiple channels of communication. Telegram, at least as of right now, I think it's a good avenue. It's a good avenue to choose. So I like Gab. I think Torba believes what he really does believe the things that he says he stands for in regards to Christian values. Now, we can have a more sophisticated philosophical debate about free speech and all this stuff. But as of right now, I am really impressed with Gab and what they're doing in regards to their trends page. In regards to, now they have a sort of Zoom feature, Zoom, the sort of meeting, you can, do like group meetings, that, thank you, Owen, I appreciate that, brother. So that Gab has the ability, they're doing something like Zoom, so you can now have these group meetings and stuff like that. You can have encrypted chats over on Gab. I'm telling you, once Gab has a server large enough to start hosting videos, that's going to be it. Like, because right now, that's the name of the game. There's some free speech podcast platforms. So if you have a podcast, if what you do is audio, there's still some semblance of freedom. If what you do is on video, which obviously is what I do, even though I could turn all these into audio podcasts, I haven't. I need to create an RSS feed for my website. So anyways, just reminder of that. I do need to do that. But most of what I do is on video. You're kind of limited, right? YouTube has cornered the market. Now you have BitChute, but BitChute, and DTube, they're hassles. When you try to upload, they take forever. There's not enough people, so you start to engage a lot of time in there, but you're not really getting it in return in regards to now some people have started their BitChute and their BitChute's going very well. So maybe I'm just a little bit jealous, but it just seems like YouTube has such a monopoly on the video platform, again, because of their resources at Google, that you can upload a video so quickly. Now, we all know though that YouTube isn't going to allow us to stay here. They've already demonetized Dyer, so we got to use this as just a funnel to get people in the right direction, right? Because there's got to be something that's going to manifest here pretty soon. Minds, you can only upload like 10-minute long videos, or the longer, and then it's just kind of clumsy. Vimeo's, that's more for like sort of professional people that edit and stuff like that. um oh, my Gab is at DP Harry, same as my Instagram. So we we need to start thinking about Telegram is encrypted. It's run by Russians. I'm sure most of you guys already know this. So, like I said, Owen's got some great channels on Telegram. He's got the Orthodox Central channel. He's got a couple other ones, more open forums. So I definitely recommend, even if you don't want to engage every day. Again, I don't get on Telegram and engage every day. I'm a bit of a loner, but I'm in. I got a Telegram. Again, please sign up for my Telegram. That's a direct channel of communication, but you have access. So when news happens, so a way in which people are being mobilized right now. Again, this is the beginning aspects of what we're trying to do, but Owen, say the Arch Bishop of Go Arch, in New York, has a video, or he's doing liturgy or something, that Owen has been able to mobilize Orthodox guys to dislike videos. Now, this obviously can be seen as juvenile compared to what we're going to use it for, but that is still a form of mobilization. That is still a form of voicing oneself in society. Nobody wants to put up a YouTube video and 70% of them are dislikes. So this is a way in which we can mobilize. So that's why I advocate, follow Owens putting things in the chat, different links. Follow them. Join them. Again, you can mute them if you want. You don't want all the notifications. I do the same. I get it. But Telegram is a way in which we can all stay in touch with each other. I think it's really important, and that's why I also said Gab. You have the other social medias. I'm on Minds.com. I don't know how are you guys on Minds? I personally, from my own experience, I'm most impressed with Gab, but I realize that there's actually not as many people. I see that a lot of people are on Minds. Some are on Gab. I heard Parler. Parler looks like a fake alternative that's really funded by the sort of neocons. I am very skeptical of Parler, the Parler app, the sort of alternative to Twitter. I'm not convinced by it, but Telegram I think is good. Gab I think is good. Like I said, I'm going to be spending, after today, I plan on posting, multiple times, 5, 10, 20 times a day over on Gab. Now, I have no Gab following. Again, I'm at DP Harry if you have a Gab account. I only got like 70 followers. I don't post very often. Every once in a while I'll share my YouTube videos, but I'm going to get engaged over in the Gab community. In fact, I think I have a pro account, and so I think I'm going to try to start an Orthodox group over on Gab because they don't have one. So if you get a Gab account, look in the next day or two, and I'll try to share it in some more recent videos coming up. Look for the Orthodox group. And again, that'd be another way we can form an Orthodox Christian group over on Gab and start really and then from there, it's like we won't have to worry about deplatforming with Gab like we do the other ones. So yeah, Miss B says I like Gab better than Minds. Me too. I'm on Minds, but when I just look at the general tone and tenor of, and it could be the people I follow and all this stuff, but I like what I'm seeing over on Gab a little bit more. I also like the way that they're building out Gab at such a fast-paced rate. I mean, they're coming out with new stuff like every 3 months. It's great. So very impressed with Gab. Okay, so like I said, this leads to the ability to mobilize. We have to be able to mobilize, and this stuff isn't going to occur overnight. What I'm talking about is ideally, we should plan in 6 months to a year to really be a sort of organized force. And we have examples, guys. We've seen the political impact that the Groypers had. Now, the Groypers were not totally organized. They had Fuentes. They had they had a nice dialectic form with TPUSA. So, it gave them a sort of identity. that they could hold and move throughout really all of last fall. I mean, now the Groypers are clearly they're here to stay in regards to a sort of cultural phenomenon of, America first, putting out traditional values, all of which we can get behind. Now, I'm not telling everybody to be a Groyper or anything like that, but what I'm trying to say is there's already examples for us. Owen Benjamin and the Bears. How are they an example for us? Now, maybe some of us are bears. I'm not a bear. I watch his streams once in a while, but some of you guys I know are bears, that you are subscribed members and everything. So that the idea, like, that is a self-sustaining group. They have tried to take, again, you don't even have to like Owen Benjamin. Maybe you don't. You think whatever you think of him, but with the Bears as a group, as a community, they'll never be able to totally silence him. They'll never be able to shut him down. They have their own community. And then that community promotes, traditional values, sort of subsistent forms of living, farming, all this stuff, growing, agriculture, permaculture. So all of the values that, again, I'm advocating for. I'm not telling you to like him. I'm not telling you to, I don't know what anybody's, disposition is, but we need to think about how we form groups and how we can be, the phrase that I like is anti-fragile. How do we as a group, as a body that can be cohesive in regards to our channels of communication through these different social media platforms, through secret, Telegram groups, that we can be anti-fragile, that as the world gets more and more chaotic, we are extremely organized. We have a bunch of order. We can communicate to anybody across the country very fast. We can share videos. We can mobilize. We can do a lot of different things. And then we can promote people within our culture. And that's what I mean. The Bears are an example. People who do comics, whatever, the Bear community, they help promote each other. They get each other off the ground. If they had YouTube channels, if they make knives, whatever it is that they do, these are things we can do. We can start to, again, promote each other. Like Zigmas says he makes some beats. I need a beat that really bangs with some Orthodox chants. Maybe we can collaborate here. Actually, side note here. Actually, one of the things that I want to do is find musicians, because I have different chants that I would like. I'd say, okay, please use this chant. I like it. Sample it, cut it up however you want, and throw a beat. And I want different types of beats. My goal is to have my own album. I didn't make a single song, but I'll pay people to make songs that are totally in step with the vibe and the message of my YouTube channel. But, maybe it's super trappy, maybe it's sort of lo-fi, maybe it's super spiritual, but I want to have basically my own album where we have like totally cool, I want to have a song. I know this is a side note, but like, again, it's Orthodox chants in English so you can understand them, but you play it in your car if you had a system, and it bangs, and people, I know that's just the type of music I like, especially when I work out, stuff like that. So, anyways, side note, but that is something that I want to do eventually, is have a Church of the Eternal Logos album of different artists doing different kinds of songs, about Logos, really. So, idea, but, yeah, I'm not. Well, rap as an art form, there's actually some good Christian rap, but yeah, generally speaking, rap is degenerate. So agreed. Ortho wave, exactly. That's the same thing. Ortho wave. It's like a mix between a sort of like a 80s electronic lo-fi beat, the sort of wave, ortho wave. So that's another ortho synth wave. Exactly. And have different types of that. Like, we got to make our own culture. We have to start producing things that we want to consume. So what do you like? Okay, well, I like this type of music. Is somebody making that type of music that represents your values, your ideas, the message that you want to put out in the world? No? Okay, well then start doing it. I can't do it. So that's why I want to try to get people to do it. But again, all of us can think about that. and different things. So the ortho synth wave, I know there's one guy, he made an ortho wave a few days ago. It was really good. I shared it on Twitter. I was like, dang, that's pretty good. I should talk to him about making a song. So, again, okay. And then I wanted to talk about men's groups. So men's groups at church, I already mentioned this, but this is something I think it has real promise. Subdeacon Mark, like I said, he was his big idea that we should have a men's group that does manly things. Now, I just went to his house actually 2 days ago, and we sipped a very nice whiskey in his backyard and ate cheese puffs. So that was actually a good time. We just talked about theology and drank a little bit of whiskey. And so he wanted to do that stuff, but different masculine activities, have more manly conversations about life, about fatherhood, about different things that, again, I can't speak about fatherhood, but this was a group that he wants to form. We can begin to do that at all of our parishes. One, unfortunately, it's sad how many guys grew up without a real father, or without their biological father or a good father, or sometimes a man in the house at all. So we need to be around men. We need to have male groups. The Boy Scouts are no longer just for boys, so that's why I think having this housed within the church is really good, because it will allow us to have a men's group. And if people pretend that in a few years maybe this became a real thing, we're all organized, we're all online, we have tens of thousands of people that are in these men's groups that we can all communicate within the blink of an eye. Just within 30 minutes we can get 10,000 people, we can get an idea, information across to people that quickly. Like, that's real power. All men, all Orthodox, all across the country. That's something that we need to start thinking about. So lost my train of thought. Anyways, if we have all these men's groups, we can do various activities. First of all, a lot of young men haven't been around men, so they need to be around men. They need to develop more masculine characteristics. But we can, like I said, go to shooting ranges together, different things, learning how to build together. You do mission trips together, like just all men Orthodox mission trips, domestic, right? Maybe you go to poor areas in your own state, or you're helping out people at your own church. You don't have to go help somebody you don't know, but all you guys can start learning skills. This is something I want to do. One of the things that I'm weak on is working on cars. And this is something I've been thinking about that I really want to get better at. Is I see my dad, this was a skill that he could always do that I just never had a whole lot of interest in. I was interested in playing sports, doing other things. His ability to work on engines, anything mechanical, that I always helped him out. He had a couple antique cars, so I'd help him do stuff, but it was just never my passion. Now, looking back, I'm 30 years old, and I wish I was more knowledgeable and more useful in regards to working on vehicles, working on automobiles. So that's something that I want to work on, but that's something that even can be talked about and addressed and discussed within the men's groups. There's so many possibilities here, and then the idea of it being all men, I think is a good thing, one, for our psyche, but just having a healthy male community, I think, is going to be really, really important, especially with what we're up against. And that's why, side note, the thumbnail I used was David and Goliath. If you look at the thumbnail for this video, that's why I said the time is now. Kind of cliche thing to say, but the idea is that we are David, we are the faithful, we are the sinful, right? We lust after women, we are tied to the sinful pleasures of this world, just like David. But as long as we're faithful, we can also conquer Goliath. And Goliath is the system. Goliath is, the giant we are up against, because we really are. And that's why, again, we have to shift our mental focus, that we are not discussing the things like, can you believe this happened? Can you believe that happened? Guys, we're in a war. We have to totally transition. We are now special forces. We are now on the attack. We are now developing plans and strategies to enact in the world. And a garden is one of those. But this has to be our mindset moving forward. That's the only way we're going to be successful, because this isn't a joke. This really is not a joke. So we can use it to develop skills. Another thing is events. This is, again, if we have 10,000, 20,000 men that are in a chat or something that we have, that we can get ideas across within, again, 30 minutes, 20,000 people can be aware of something. We can set up events. We can start doing our own conferences, academic conferences. We can start hosting events. If we can have, again, through our community, maybe somebody is a doctor. They have information they want to talk about based on what's going on at that particular moment. We have we have lawyers in our community. We have thinkers, more philosopher type, cultural commentator stuff. That maybe they want to present papers, maybe we want to talk about things that are happening, maybe we want to discuss apps that are being developed, but we can begin to organize. We have our own culture, right? This is all part of the organization that we don't have right now, but we will. We're going to have that in the next year. And if you guys want to help, email me. I'm not going to do all the work, but you guys, us as a community can. And so if you don't know who to talk to, email me, say, hey, I'm good at this, I want to do this. And then I'll get you hooked up with other people, and so if need be, I'll just be a hub for communication between different individuals, get you guys hooked up. But this is how we need to operate. This is how we have to, this is the only way forward. The only way forward. We cannot continue to talk about what's going on as if, like, can you believe that? Like, it's already guys, it's over. Whatever, the U.S., the dreams of the secular American Masonic yearnings of this country, it's over. And so that's why I actually think the Confederacy resonates with a lot of us in different ways. And be on the lookout. I actually have a new product. Once my buddy is able to finish it, I'm going to have an Orthodox cross, and let me know. Maybe this is too far. I don't think so. I think it's a good play. We've been talking about the Confederate flag, is now like a hate symbol and all this stuff. So I was going to create a T-shirt, a coffee mug that uses the Confederate X is blue, white lines, and then white stars inside of it. And I'm just going to make an Orthodox cross that looks like that. And it's going to be called the Orthodox Rebel. And it's just, I'm not advocating, it's not like we're totally advocating for the Confederacy, but we're that spirit of state autonomy, pushing against the sort of centralized force, of course they're fighting Union, this or that. But it's something to, I think it's very interesting. I think it's funny, the Orthodox Rebel spirit. So I'm going to have a red T-shirt with an big Orthodox cross, but it's going to look like the flag with the blue, white stripes, white stars. That's going to be coming out soon. Side note, I know that has nothing to do with anything, but interesting thought there. So we can create our own events. We can, eventually, just like unauthorized.com, unauthorized TV or .tv, sorry. It'd be nice if we had our own Orthodox version, where a lot of us that are content creators in the sort of Orthodox sphere, we all come together under a larger website. And this is where the websites are going to be so important. They really are. A lot of us, myself included, aren't in the habit of going to people that we like their website very frequently. But that is the only sort of platform or autonomy we as content creators can have is our website. So we can find, somebody to host it that isn't going to take it down because we criticize trans people. But we can run, our business through there. The only people we have to worry about through our website is the payment processors. Where all the other platforms, we have to not just worry about payment process, although that's less likely. It's the actual platforms that we're on. So the websites are going to be so important. And again, that's why Jay wants you to go get a membership, go get a subscription to his website. Same with myself. Everything's going to be run through the website because that's the only thing that we can actually own. So just as a community, we're going to need to get in a habit of starting to go to people's websites more frequently. I think, because that's going to be our only sort of self autonomy until maybe we get our own website like an unauthorized.tv, but it's more orthodox voices doing different things, different stuff. So okay, last bullet point that I had here. I've been rambling geez for an hour. Seems like I just hopped on here. Is be a voice within the society, and it's talking about youth and energy. And again, using the Groypers as an example, look at how much they were able to accomplish. Again, maybe from the outside, from Donald Trump's level, it doesn't look like they accomplished much. But from our level, in regards to being an unorganized group of individuals, mostly young men that have similar viewpoints, they were able to basically change the perception of most, I think, of like 30 and younger people, of Crenshaw, of TPUSA, of sort of the neocon Inc., right? I mean, Con Inc. is sort of a product of the Groypers. And so youth and energy is really important. That's why the meme culture, I think, the Orthodox group, like, we're pretty good with the memes. That's a way we got to win young people, because there's a lot of young people here that are not here, like watching the video. Most of you guys are all Christian, but there's a lot of young people that are confused, that aren't Christian. They don't know anything about orthodoxy or this or that. We need to be a sort of refuge for a lot of people, because a lot of people are lost right now. And that's how we get the energy, is we get the young people. We're not going to be a boomer movement. Jay is older. I'm a little bit older. I'll be 31 in September. But the sort of thrust of the community has to be in, 18 to 28, that's got to be the thrust, the sort of energy, again, with the intentions of establishing families, finding traditional wives, having children, building our careers. It's a mature movement that we are trying to organize and be a part of here. We want something that we are proud of, right? That's something that we don't look back on 10 years back. Oh my God, can you believe I was into that? Like we already did, most of us, earlier in our lives, whether it be the psychedelics or the New Age, or maybe you're in some Hindu cult or whatever, right? These are things that we get into and then we look back on. We're like, geez, I wish I didn't really do that. What we're trying to build is something different. It's it's for the future. It's for the long term. It's for the long haul. It's a culture. It's a subgroup. It's a community that promotes men becoming men, having families, having wives, having children, and establishing, a God-driven community. That's what we're interested here. And so that should never not be the focus. But patristic nectar is solid. I love Father Trenum. He's been nailing it lately. And I think he sees the severity of what's coming as well in regards to the culture. I mean, it's over. We are in a fight, and we need to realize that every day needs to sort of be a preparation for the fight. That's why I said the food you eat, the fitness, living our lives more deliberately, because by being proactive right now is the only way we're going to be successful in 2 years to 4 years. Because 4 years is going to be complete chaos. You're not going to be able to get out of the country. You're not going to be doing any of that stuff, right? 4 years. I think everybody be smart to get in your mind, say you need to get where you're trying to get to in 4 years. Yeah, if you guys haven't, please like this video. Smash that like. So yeah, we need to get the youth energy. We need to think, that's why making the music, making sort of orthodox variations of music, making comics, that's why I said Joshua Lindbergh does short films. He's in the beginning of his career. Dude, keep making films. The last one, I thought it was very interesting. All the different shots that you had, the symbolism of, he has a new one come out. It's called The Ring of the Bell, I believe is what it is. Josh, you can put it in the live chat. I believe it's The Ring of the Bell. Interesting stuff. I liked it. We got to create more. We have to create more. This is a time to build, create. And therefore, we shouldn't be worried about destroying anything. in the sense, this is something that this is actually something that I mentioned to Owen, is we were talking about efforts, and my point, and this is just my perception, is that we shouldn't be devoting our efforts to anything that we deem right now in society that is negative. I think it's more useful to not think so much of how to destroy whatever it is we perceive as our enemy or the system or whatever, as opposed to building something new. We just need to just give up on whatever that, stop giving it energy, and just focusing on building something new. That, again, that can be your garden, that can be your career, that can be whatever it is that you're doing. But that's how I see this time right now, is that we have to be building as quick and as and furious as possible, because it's the only way we can establish ourselves. Now, I see a few things going on in the chat here. Give me a second. Exactly. We need everyone on board. Well, I mean, I think his 2024 was, and we're talking about Brother Augustine, it was based on of astrological reading while he was a Mason inside of a lodge. Now, I personally don't give that much credence, but and he didn't say he did either. He was saying that he sees that matching up nicely with a phenomenon of Trump getting a second term, which I think is looking very likely at this point. And after he gets out of office in 2024, that's when the real chaos begins. To me, that makes a lot of sense. I wonder if it's already too late, if that the real chaos is getting ready to begin before November. We may not have 4 years. We may have 4 months. So we have no idea. We're living in precarious times. That's why it's so important to take responsibility for ourselves and organize and get on these various Telegram channels, sign up, go to my website, please, and just sign up for the mailing list. If you don't have to do anything, you don't have to donate, just sign up for the mailing list, so then I can contact you directly in case something were to happen, just in case. So yeah, that's my comment on that. Homesteading is based, absolutely, that should be the goal for most of us, or at least forming communities where we contribute to each other's homesteads, or we do this or that. Sooner is better, absolutely. That's what I said. We may only have 4 months. Exactly. I see Troy says 4 months. Agreed, dude. We don't know how much time we have. We have to get serious about everything. Oh geez, we got a super chat from Owen. Thank you so much, brother. Jeez. Guys, Owen, yeah, thank you so much, brother. 20 pounds. Really appreciate that. He says, you deserve this, King. God bless you for all your work. This video is much needed, and hopefully people take notes from this. Also, Eugen is pronounced as Eugen, Oive, and not Eugen. Okay. Gotcha. So, Eugen. Gotcha, brother. Well, and again, share your telegrams. Owen is doing great stuff for the Orthodox community. Again, he's a 21-year-old dude, doing what he can from the other side of the pond over in England. Again, things are crazy over there. We already see, we see the plan for Western nations. It's the total destruction. So, we just keep that in mind. Again, thank you so much, Owen. I really, really appreciate the super chat, man. Really do appreciate that. Thank you very much. And if any of you guys have any questions, or you'd like to super chat, greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to contribute, maybe $5 or $10, go to my website. Would really, really, really appreciate that. At the top right corner that says a donate, and you can set up something through PayPal if you have a PayPal. Would greatly appreciate that. But yeah, we got to, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me stuff. I'm kind of done with my spiel here. But we have to think about organizing. We have to be proactive. We have to be a force. We can't be acted upon all the time, right? So much is in, like I said, commentary, analysis of what's going on, of, oh my God, look what's happening to us. That's got to be over with. We are now doing the activity. We have to organize. We have to do, if we have to create petitions to try to talk about, rogue bishops promoting modernism or homosexuality, guys, we have to be able to do this. We have to work here. We have to get serious about all this stuff. So, another super chat by Zigmas. Thank you very much, brother. He says, cheers, $10. Thank you. Greatly appreciate that. And Zigmas, yeah, I think I got your email. We were going back and forth last week. I will send you the chant of Lord of Hosts, or Host of, yes, by the Valam Brotherhood. So it's actually my opening intro. I will send you that, and you can sample, cut, mix, and throw that. But I would like to maybe have a private conversation more than just typing. Maybe we can do a Zoom or a Skype sometime and talk about it. But thank you, brother. Thank you. And if anybody, do you have a SoundCloud where you have your music? You mentioned that you make EDM music. If you have any, throw that in the chat. Let the guys, see what your work's like. Miss B says, how would you combat wanting to create content, giving advice to young people, but also feeling shame and hesitancy because of things you were tied up in while you were young? I don't feel much shame personally. There could be just a problematic, just speaking for myself, Miss B, I don't feel much shame for all the stuff that I engaged with when I was younger, because it shapes my perspective now, even though maybe I disagree with it. I'm not like most people. I'm very open. I have no problem talking about most of my experiences or things that I did. So I don't have a whole lot of shame. Again, that's probably a bad thing, but that's just myself. Trump is a buffoon, was always in it for himself, surrounds himself with scum. Agreed. It's a good base deadline. Again, sooner is better. I agree. Again, thank you so much, Owen. I really appreciate that. So, okay. Do you think the English is going the way as America? Of course. I think when you look at the sort of state of the UK right now, I think they're in a very difficult situation. I don't know what the percentage of the population is immigrant. I know the city of London seems like to be basically gone at this point. Seems a bit hopeless. I think they can restore order. It's going to be on the English people. What I think is going to be, and this is my personal opinion, what is the defining characteristic between the U.S. and the rest of all the Western nations, Australia, Germany, the Swedens, France, everything's getting destroyed, right? Is that we have guns. And America has a ton of guns. And we are the largest freestanding army in the world, just the armed militia of the American populace. So that throws a big wrench into everything, because that is a real, hopefully we don't ever get there. I think it's going there. I think it's pretty inevitable at this point. But if things actually get violent, it's not just fist to fist combat, sticks, knives, swords. We have real weaponry. And I think also in America that a large portion of the police force and the military are going to be on the side of the populace. That's a real benefit. And so I see that potentially being, making the American context very different from the other European context, and how all this stuff plays itself out. Exactly. The U.S. has guns. That is not a small thing. It's huge. It's huge. When I see the riot, I don't know if you guys saw the gentleman who's got his throat slit in London. Like, it's coming, guys. It is coming. You have to prepare. Everybody needs to prepare. That's the point of this live stream. Is the time is now. I know that's cliche. Couldn't really think of a good title, so that's the best I came up with. But it's not a joke. It's not a joke, guys. We have to get serious. We have to realize that it's on you and us. It's on us. It's us. That's all we have. That's all we have. And hopefully our parishes and our bishops and our spiritual fathers, our priests, that's what we have. We have our family, we have our friends, we have our churches. It's on us. That's the whole institution's against us. The whole system is in opposition to us. It's on us. And so that's what I mean by the time is now. Everything that you were wanting to do, oh, I wanted to build that garden. Oh, I wanted to get fit. Oh, I wanted to start eating healthy. You have to do it right now. Like you should have started today, yesterday, last month, last year. That needs to be the purpose for all of us. We're all in this. And that's why the next video I'm going to do is talking about, orthodoxy and that sort of conception of the warrior and stuff like that. In the UK, the government could take out the ones revolting pretty quickly because the English have nothing. Anyone read Eternal Christ? Now, yeah, I got it right here. Everybody loves this book. I should do a video on it. I've never done a video on it, but I probably once every 2 or 3 streams somebody asks if I've read or if somebody's read Christ the Eternal Tao. It's a good book. Hierodamascene. Owen says I'm going elsewhere. He's in. Hey, pray for our brother Owen in England. What city are you in, Owen? By the way, because he says that he'll probably move to East Germany. Not a bad idea. Again, I personally would be, if I was moving anywhere in Europe, it'd be Eastern Europe. It would not be in any Western nation, even Germany. But I know you have German heritage, so it makes a lot of sense. I agree. I understand. Cops are part of the system, which you rightly said is against us. Yeah, but I think a majority of the police are actually going to, I mean, we're already seeing them resigning. They're going to be on the side of the populace. So the police are enacting the will of other people. But I would say, generally speaking, the majority of police officers are going to be much more conservative. And like, I don't see the American police force as cucked as promoting like the LGBTQ stuff like I see in England. I see like no real masculine, joie de vivre in England as you'd see in America. Now, again, you can talk about police brutality. I've had bad encounters with police officers, so I'm not saying that. But you don't see the sort of kind of cucky, I don't know. It's just, there's a different vibe, I think, with the police in the U.S. than like England. Why East Germany? I won't dox myself. Yeah, good point. Don't tell them everywhere you're going. Let's build a Seraphim Rose Orthodox Church promoting his woke content. Well, that would only would be able to occur in ROCOR. So localize, excellent. Ham radio, CB radio, especially if you have within a few miles of a highway. Don't forget your solar panels. Buy books on homestead farming. Yes, John Buckner. Yes, great points. Great points. Everybody listen to his comment. Yeah, diesel tractor. Yes. I think a whole lot of police are upset with what's happening. Exactly, Prism. I totally agree. That's what I'm saying. That I think the majority of police are going to be on our side. Now, they might not be police officers anymore. They may defund, entire departments, but they're going to be armed. They're going to know how to use a weapon, and they're going to be on our side of the value structure. I think soon Russia will be the only safe haven for Christians in Europe. I see Poland. I see Hungary. I see most of Eastern Europe on the right path. So I disagree. I think Western Europe is going to sort of self-destruct, and it's going to be all sort of Western nations, which include Australia, Canada, the U.S. It's going to get crazy, guys. It's going to get crazy. We have to prepare. That's what the whole point. The time is now. We have to prepare. Every day should be thinking long-term preparation. And this whole community police thing is probably an attempt to replace conservative police with useful. Oh, I'm sure. You need 5 acres, John Buckner, for a family if you're going to do livestock. Yeah, that's probably true. My goal is 2 to 5. If I got lucky, maybe 10-acre spread, but 2 to 5 acres is what I'm shooting for. I would be really happy, and I'd be fine with just building like a small. Have you seen those barn houses? They're actually really cheap to get up. Well, I was talking about this with one of my buddies. He just bought a really nice, like I said, a nice, very nice property. And we were talking about inexpensive ways to get housing up. It's like how much money would you feasibly need to get a real nice house on a real nice plot of land? And we were talking about the houses where you basically you build a pole barn, but then you insulate it, you turn it into a home. That's actually they can be really nice, and you can do that at a fairly cheap compared like a traditional home. So I think that's something we should all also keep in mind. Owen said, "I'm only English and Welsh. The German stuff is LARP. Laugh out loud. I'm a staunch Germanophile." Okay. Meek and Pure says, "I don't hold much faith in the systems of the world." Of course not. The heavens and the earth will pass away, but the word of God won't. Jesus is the only hope in this world. Agreed. Independent water source like a well or a spring is better than public. Absolutely. I'm currently on a well, John. I would recommend everybody, if you can, to get on a well or a spring for sure. You can get the Orthodox Survival course on the web for free in PDF form. Oh, awesome. If you guys have that link, share that. Mags' Orthodox Survival course. Share that in the chat, please, if you guys know where that is. That's why I don't get invested in any country or political ideology, because it's all man versus man. Agreed. Police were never really as bad as they have been painted. Of course, it's a destabilization of order. That's the whole point. And the first line of defense, usually in regards to the sort of the state. So if they can abolish a lot of the police departments and then the state troopers, eventually, you're just going to have federal forces. You'll have the state National Guards, and then you're just going to have the federal military. And that's where they want to go. Their goal is to get federal control, and then run it all through a centralized force. They're just using state rights right now to close things down, COVID-19. They're using the states to enact their agenda right now, but the end of the agenda has nothing to do with states' rights. It's the dissolution of states' rights. That's why I think the Confederacy thing actually resonates for us and plays in favor of our sort of symbolism, the semiotics of everything. I have a lame experience with police in the Southwest. You can get lots of acres for cheap. Oh, the Southeast. Guys, I think the Southeast is going to become Northern Mexico myself, because this is probably a controversial opinion, probably get this video demonetized or something. But, the first thing they did in Chaz was segregation. And what I think, let's pretend it's after 2024 where the real chaos begins. I think things are going to naturally begin to segregate themselves. And I see Southwest, so not Southeast. I'm totally wrong. You're talking about Southeast. Southwest, the United States basically becoming Northern Mexico. And so it's going to break up. I think it's going to have a sort of... just based on their ideology and the way that they feel about white people, it's a way to proactively begin a sort of self-segregation, which I think is inevitable at this point. John Buckner also said perennial gardening like tree collards too. I'm not familiar. Alaska seems like a good place to, yeah. Well, you really want to get out of the way. Owen said East Germany is really based. The Nationalist Party is the biggest party there, but in West Germany it's a 9% party. Communism in East Germany saved it from U.S. liberalism. Yeah. Have you ever read Romans 11:17? Bible predicts the future and Israel is inevitable. Yeah, I've read Romans multiple times. Donate your shekels. Thank you, Owen. Yeah, if you guys, again, if you don't want to do a super chat, if you could go to the website, I would greatly, 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 greatly appreciate it. And even if you don't have any money, just signing up for the email list would be fantastic. My water comes from a spring too. Gotta go. Email me. I'm down to do a video call. I would really enjoy using music to help the cause. Thank you, Zigmas. Yeah, I'll email you. We'll set something up. Take it easy, brother. Matthew Wiley, greetings all. Greetings, brother. Welcome. Glad you're here. We've been waiting. No, I'm kidding. We've had a great conversation though. You may want to check it, whatever you missed out, but glad you're here. Orthodox Pilgrim is soon to make one too on yep. So Owen's kind of the head guy over there on Telegram. There's a mass exodus to Telegram. Yeah, agreed. Do you think the U.S. will balkanize? Oh, of course. It's already, inevitable. If so, do you think Orthodox Christians in the U.S. should plan ahead? Of course, that's what this video is about, is planning ahead and organizing. And what state would Orthodox Christians move to? Alaska? That's one's going to be much more difficult. When I play out the scenario of Orthodox Christians trying to establish a monarchy in the United States, I see it as being much more difficult than just like finding a state and everybody moving there, because you have to have a military, you have to have infrastructure, you have to have people that can build building, you have to have all the mechanisms that can create a society present. And if we don't already have that organized, like the lawyers, the medical doctors, the construction architects, artists, if we don't have all that stuff, well, you don't have anything really, because anybody who has more guns, who has more power, who has more money will be able to take over whatever said state, because it's going to be brute force is going to win. So maybe they'll be able, Orthodoxy can establish some. Certainly there's going to be, whether it be the Midwest. I saw a t-shirt talking about the Northern Confederacy, and it was basically the Midwest, including Pennsylvania. There's going to be parts of the Balkanizing breakup that are going to be way more Christian and traditional than other parts, obviously. So that's going to self-select. In regards to getting a monarchy, I think it's going to be pretty difficult, at least in America. Maybe it will eventually lead that way. It depends on how interested people are in sort of political philosophy, because I could see it taking a sort of similar structure to what is falling apart right now, but on a much smaller scale with people that actually support those values. So, which would work probably short term, but like we've already seen in America, long term, it always falls apart, because you have to have a moral Christian society for the sort of theory of America to exist, and mostly the same race, which difficult topic. Owen says Southeast belongs to the blacks, Southwest belongs to the Hispanics. Whites are going to have to move north in order to survive. That's very possible. In Southeast, it's not safe to live around African. This is one thing I wonder about with the Southeast. Demographics are heavily mixed, but at the same time, populations are concentrated differently. Greetings from Japan. What's up, Jeff Mullins? Greetings, brother. Okay. We'll check out what I missed. Hope you're able to get to church, David. And glad you changed your calendar. I did change my calendar. I'm glad you're watching. Yes, I'm on June. I realized I had forgot to change it basically the first week and a half. So I disagree. The fall of the whore Babylon would benefit nearly all nations. No, I agree. The fall of America. I mean, that's already happening. America's biggest export is degeneracy. So I make, in my mind, there's always a distinction between the United States. The way that I phrase it is the United States and America. When I say America, I tend to think of the people. When I say the United States, I tend to think of the all capitalized corporation of the United States, their military, their money, Washington, D.C., all that stuff. And so I see Americans being manipulated but I see the United States and its government and, what we would call the United States. I see that as the really pernicious, evil, manipulating, degenerate force, which unfortunately the American people have been sort of swaddled by and manipulated by. So, Americana, I disagree. The fall of the whore of Babylon. In the East, I heard an Orthodox prophecy that in the end time, a Russian Orthodox czar will return from the Romanov branch. Yeah, that sounds. I don't trust any of that sort of Russian lore. I just see too much allegiance to Russia in some of the Orthodox circles over Orthodoxy itself. That makes me a bit nervous. Russia's had a very precarious history, even in times during the monarchy. It wasn't just like the Byzantine Empire. You hear people talk about the Byzantine Empire in very romantic terms, but there's very tumultuous times. I mean, they kicked out John Chrysostom. They cut off the hands and tongue of Maximus the Confessor. 60% of the church were Arians. Things are more nuanced than that. They always are, but it's amazing. Again, it also makes you realize, geez, how lucky we are. The preservation of Orthodox theology and the Orthodox Church and the Orthodox faith makes me think, wow, well, the Holy Spirit must be with this church for the way that it survived everything. What do you think about the notion of black people considering themselves as true American? Oh, I believe American, by definition, is an Anglo descendant. I think the concept of all these different types of people, being Americans, it fails. It fails because culture is going to be tied to people, a language, a tradition, usually a racial group. And when you no longer play by those games, you're no longer going to have a single culture. So if you're not going to play by sort of the English classical liberalism that was founded by, if you're not going to play by sort of English gentleman rules, it's kind of over. Like you don't even have a culture. And so that's what we have. Is we have people that are trying to perpetuate in their minds old America or traditional America, and then we have a group of people that just want to destroy it. And the people who want to destroy it are backed by the Fortune 100 and 500 companies. This is why I think it's important to follow Jay Dyer and what he talks about. He knows at a sort of more academic level than I do, much more sort of sophisticated, scholarly understanding of a lot of the books. But anybody who's making fun of Chaz and like mocking it, like I see Donald Trump Jr. doing and a bunch of these Republicans, it's the biggest mistake in the world. Just because, Chaz is LARPing. Okay, agreed. The Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, yep, big LARP. It's a joke. But it's there for a psychological purpose to normalize the idea of secession, backed by the Fortune 100 and 500 companies. The people who have the money and the infrastructure are for it. Like it's going to happen. This is just the begin. This is just the normalization. This is the beginning. So, thanks, John. Good advice. Clearly, you're going to know more about it than I do. He says, and a rip out of your back and front lawns, plant a garden now. If you live in an apartment, plant a vertical garden. I don't know much about that. So he says, don't wait till you get land. Now is the time. Check out urban gardening on YouTube. I should check that out. I'm not too familiar, John. Thank you for the heads up. Germany is a Roman Catholic nation. Anyone who claims to be a schismatic is not a real German. Okay. So, Patrick, I was a capitalist, but I've recently come to loathe it for many reasons, mainly socially, how it impacts it. I also don't like socialism. Is G.K. Chesterton's distributionism best? G.K. Chesterton, he has good ideas. I like him, but I think the goal is to not pick any single ism and just continue to inform yourself. So, okay, look into Chesterton's distributionism, but don't grab a hold of it. Just continue to learn more. Look into all these. Know what socialism is. Know what the steelman argument for socialism is. Know the steelman argument for capitalism. But don't subscribe wholly to any of them. I think that's the play, is to know a lot about it, but not be a part of it. Just focus on, because there's aspects. I personally believe in personal property. That comes from Adam Smith. That's part of the capitalistic system, private property, stuff like that. I'm for it. So I know I've heard Christian interpretations and how that can be wrong, and owning creation and all this stuff, but that's where I'm at. That doesn't mean I support capitalism totally through, but I can support private property. I can support gun rights. I can support, individualism to a degree. America took that way too far, but I think maybe if we rebranded it as Orthodox and we called it personhood instead of individualism, because the personhood, the person at a theological level is the beginning of our theology. All this stuff, we interact with the personhood of God. So I think focusing on the persons is a really good idea. Individualism is sort of like an ambiguous one, that everybody's the same. So subtle distinction. It was in something I read and I think on a recent video, but distinction between individuals and persons. The West is Latin, the Church God. Okay, whatever. Okay. Well, guys, I think I'm going to get out of here. It's been an hour and a half. If you guys don't have any more questions, feel free to ask me anything real quick. I still have a few more minutes, but thinking about getting out of here. There are more sex scandals in the schismatics unless you were born. Individualism is gay. Yeah. The whole Western philosophical path to nihilism was started by the theological errors of the Western Church. Agreed. One AK in 96, one AK in 96. Totally agree. Isn't everybody is equal under God? Yes, but that's the only area where you find equality is in God. Equality doesn't exist in creation itself, outside of God. Why would the elite want to balkanize, though? This could totally destroy their plans, could it not? No, because they don't see it balkanizing. They see themselves taking control of the whole thing, centralizing power, and just dissolving borders and implementing the Agenda 21. I mean, so they don't think the balkanizing forces will be able to become autonomous. That's what, they don't take that part probably too seriously, but in America with all the guns, I think, I'm sure they've already thought about it, but I think it's going to be a lot more difficult. People have families, people have guns, people have values, and even though, maybe we disagree with the theology, a large portion of this country believes in God and will die for their families and the values they believe in. I think that, throws a real wrench in any sort of globalist plan to take over. So we'll see. That's what I said. The time is now, guys. Got to prepare ourselves. Thank you for the talk. Thank you guys. Thanks for jumping in and chatting and hanging out. So yep, I will get off here again. Thank you guys for everything. We just want to mention again, check out my site if you haven't. I just got my shop up. Again, there's not much there, nothing too impressive, but I do have a coffee mug. I have a new logo up that you guys might like. It's called Got Church, in a sort of ancient Greek lettering, and then it has logos in the actual Koine. But there's some cool stuff there. If you're interested, if you have the ability, check out the website, potentially donate for each month. There's an option that you can set up with PayPal. If not, maybe just do it one time, or maybe check out some of the products there. Again, unfortunately, all the t-shirts, all the fabrics, everything to print is all out of stock at Printful because of COVID-19. So it's going to be a minute before I have any t-shirts available. But what is up there is currently, you can purchase that and get it shipped to you in the next day or two. So all that stuff is available. Again, please, if you haven't, get hooked up with Owen and his Telegram channels. Subscribe to my Telegram channel. Subscribe to Dyer's Telegram channel. Telegram right now is a good alternative. So yeah. And if you guys haven't, please like the video. Please smash that like button. And if you know any friends who'd be interested in this content, please share it with them. Would greatly appreciate it. Again, think about how you can contribute to all this. We are creating our community right now. We're going to be much more organized. We're going to go out about it much more deliberately than maybe some of the other forces that have constructed their own communities, but they are all examples to us. And so we got to think about organizing and the ability to mobilize and have a real impact. So thank you guys again for everything. Thank you for all the love and support. Please smash the like, please share the video, and I will see you all next time. And until then, as always, God bless.